Hello everyone, it's your boy, the Fantasy Football Almanac, back out with another best ball draft video. Today we're launching into a Puppy 3 draft, $5 for the chance to win $200,000, $1 million in total prizes. We got the second pick right now. There's one player Ryan up and one player only. His name is Jonathan Taylor. We're taking him here. If you guys do like these best ball content type videos, please go down, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, hashtag best ball, so you guys can join the giveaway. Yeah, that's right, there's a giveaway. You guys can join. $50 to Underdog Fantasy. I mean, realistically, you can spend it on whatever you want. You spend it on drugs, keep it, invest it into the market. But the dream would be to spend it on Underdog Fantasy. But because Underdog Fantasy, I don't think they have any gift cards or anything like that. We're just rocking with, hopefully, you'll spend this money on Underdog Fantasy. But either way, $50. Go down, hashtag best ball. You do it on all my videos, so if you want like 30, 40 entries, just go to all my videos. Alright, hashtag best ball in the comments below. Either way, we're launching in this draft. We got the second pick right here. I mean, the second pick's fabulous right here. Because either way, you're getting one of these top two guys, whether it be Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor. Philo21 decides he likes Christian McCaffrey just a tad bit more. So we'll take our number one guy, Jonathan Taylor, here at 2. Really hoping at 23 we get Mark Andrews here. It is possible that it doesn't happen, but Mark Andrews is a guy who has been falling an absolute ton. So, I mean, I would gladly take him here. I would take him. I would take Alvin Kamara. I think there's a lot of guys I really like. Wow. CeeDee Lamb at pick 8 and Najee Harris at pick 7. Not something you see too often. Uh, Najee Harris usually goes around pick 11, and CeeDee Lamb usually around pick 13. So, although a 5-pick ADP difference doesn't seem substantial, when you're drafting very early in the draft, changing from pick 2 to pick 6 is absolutely a massive change because the quality in players is so insane, and like small ADP differences and small rankings differences can mean you either end up with a player all the time or you almost never end up with a player. Like if you have Najee Harris over Austin Eckler, you're probably getting Najee Harris every time at 7, 8, 9, 10. But if you have Austin Eckler ahead, you're taking him pretty much at 6 and 7. So like it affects on how much you get Najee Harris, how much you get Austin Eckler. We got Saquon Barkley off the board pretty early, and Joe Mixon. Saquon Barkley now pretty consistently going ahead of Joe Mixon. It is pretty interesting to see. I think Saquon Barkley is a guy who has been absolutely soaring up the charts, and it is. I'm pretty glad about it. We got Deebo Samuel at pick 16, a little bit early for him, but that's okay. I mean, it does make sense. Mark Andrews at pick 18, a little bit painful for me. We're most likely going to be taking Alvin Kamara here then at pick 23, unless an insane value falls to us, but I don't think it will. Maybe Aaron Jones or someone like that. If Aaron Jones does fall out, I mean, I would gladly take Aaron Jones here as well. I mean, there's a few guys I like, but I think Alvin Kamara is a must pick here. And then whoever we end up with in the next round, we end up with Aaron Jones. Because, like, I mean, I like T. Higgins and I like Mike Evans. Mike Evans is getting pushed down the board a little bit due to his hamstring injury, but I think Alvin Kamara's got to be the pick here. And then we could either end up with T. Higgins, Leonard Fournette, or Nick Chubb. Whichever one of these three guys Philo doesn't like. I'm assuming that Alvin Kamara would have been off the board here, though, so that's why I went Alvin Kamara. Because, I mean, Alvin Kamara is going to be soaring up these boards yet again with the fact that his legal suspension, or his legal issues have been pushed back about 2 months, so he will not be suspended for the first while of the season. I figured Thielen would go T. Higgins here just because it's the best running back available. Now it's just whether he goes Leonard Fournette. Wow, he doesn't. We're taking 3 running backs here, 3 absolutely insane running backs. Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, and Leonard Fournette. I mean, our backfield's absolutely insane. We don't need a running back for the rest of the draft, honestly. I'm not taking another running back for the entire rest of the draft. There's just no point. Wow. That feels honestly pretty good. So 47 and 50, now we're really eyeing up these wide receivers, maybe a tight end here. I've really almost never gone for the 3 running back strategy, just because it's a little tough to get value here at 47 and 50, but I do think here, I mean, it's the best thing to do. We got Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and Leonard Fournette, 3 guys. I mean, Alvin Kamara and Leonard Fournette here are ridiculously good pass catchers. And then Jonathan Taylor, I mean, Jonathan Taylor doesn't even need to be spoken for. Guy's absolutely insane. We got Nick Chubb coming off, and Kyle Pitts a little bit early. Kyle Pitts, I feel like I'm in such a conundrum with Kyle Pitts. Because on the one hand, I'm like, this guy's one of the most talented tight ends we've ever seen. Honestly, probably the most talented tight end in the entire league. And I feel like it's disrespectful to say about Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, but it's just true. You watch him for like 2 seconds, and you're like, holy shit, this guy is an absolute animal. I mean, he's definitely the most gifted tight end we've ever seen. But at the same time, I mean, Marcus Mariota is the guy throwing it to him. I just can't see his ceiling being that high. I mean, the my mind is saying that Kyle Pitts will bust at his ADP, but my heart is saying go for Kyle Pitts. It's the dilemma between the heart and the mind, but usually, in my opinion, the mind wins over for me. One of the few exceptions I would say is Cordero Patterson. I mean, Cordero Patterson, though. So, somebody, if you were thinking about it logically, you would say there's no possible goddamn way he does anything this season. I mean, there's just no possible way. Or last season. But he did. I mean, he looked so good out there. And he won my heart over. But in the mind, I mean, you gotta know that he's probably not really gonna be working out too much. Uh, we're taking a risk on like a 31-year-old who's never had a top 30 season in his entire career. But sometimes you gotta trust the heart as well, and that's one of the guys like Kyle Pitts. You gotta trust your heart with a guy like that. But I do think he's really talented. I mean, I would love to double up here at 47. Realistically, if we could get Jerry Jeudy and I don't know someone like George Kittle, someone like that, that would be awesome to me. I mean, I cannot. I'm not taking a single running back for the rest of the rest of the draft, and it's tough because El Bardo is gonna read me like a goddamn book. I mean, because he's just gonna know there's no way I'm taking like or Thilo's gonna read me like a book because he knows there's no or no, yeah, El Bardo, because he knows there's no possible way I'm taking a running back here. But it is possible. I mean, I think I'm not taking Zeke. Brees Hall should be off this board as well. It does kind of stink that these running backs have fallen. Brees Hall and Cam Akers. It actually does really suck. Because I mean, obviously that's not what we want. We want these wide receivers to fall, not these running backs. Get Brees Hall off this board. Jerry Jeudy off the board here. That does stink. Honestly, I mean, do we go Brees Hall here and just we're taking Brees Hall here. We're going 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds here. We'll just try out a new strategy, you know? Why not? We something we've never done before. Taking 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds. Let's see how our team is. It's a $5 draft. And I mean, these running backs are absolutely ridiculous. These running backs are insane. These might be the best. If we were trading, if we could trade in this league, I mean, this would be a really sick team. But we can't. Hopefully, Cam Akers is off the board here. I want Deontay. I mean, I would gladly take Deontay here. George Kittle is off the board. We'll go Deontay. Deontay, one of the cleanest route runners in the entire league. I mean, he is one of the most crisp route runners, I think. One of the most blessed route runners of all time. His moves are insane, and he will be getting target volume here. And that's kind of what we want. I mean, we have such great running backs here that we just need a very stable wide receiver. Now, we're just going to be drafting a quarterback or two, and we're going to ensure that we really make these people pay. Because, I mean, we have 4 running backs here. These people are going to need to be taking running backs pretty soon. I mean, we got guys like A.J. Dillon, all that coming off the board when we pick again. And we do have guys like Alan Lazard, who should be able to fall to us. Trey Lance and Alan Lazard would be a nice combo we could take. I would really like that. I mean, I do wish T. Higgins were able to fall to us, but it was unlikely. And then Leonard Fournette's just easily the best value. I mean, after Leonard Fournette, the next wide receivers off the board are Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I just don't think it's like the same. But Leonard Fournette's just better than those players. And Brees Hall, again, Brees Hall is absolutely phenomenal running back here. So, I mean, I think there's a very high chance we make the playoffs with this team. But I think there's a substantially lower chance that we do end up winning the $200,000 with this team. That's kind of the way I look at it personally, just with the build we put together, especially with these wide receivers coming off the board. Chris Godwin's still on the board. He has been soaring up quite a fair amount. We may even go Amari Cooper here, depending on if Amari Cooper falls or Michael Thomas, which is looking more and more unlikely with the way the situation is, but it's okay. Chris Godwin comes off the board at pick 58. I'm a little timid. I'm a little scared that these running backs are going to keep falling and people are just going to be opting for these wide receivers. Because some drafts have that. But hopefully we can get some more of these running backs up the board here. I mean, our team is actually ridiculous. Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, and Brees Hall. We're never going to have problems dropping at the running back position. Running backs are going to be taking up my flex spot majority of the time. mean, if Jalen Hurts could drop to me here, that would just be insane too. I don't think it'll happen, but it is possible. And the reason why I think it is more possible than in normal drafts is because these drafts is very okay. Never mind. This draft is very wide receiver heavy though. Look at how many wide receivers are coming off the board here. I'm imagining these J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillons will be coming off the board soon. Kyler Murray coming off the board as well. I'm a little worried this guy's going to take Trey Lance here because he does have George Kittle, which is a little unfortunate, but it's the way it goes. I'm not going to overreach on Trey Lance here because I still do have Joe Burrow. Honestly, though, I think Trey Lance is better than Joe Burrow in terms of a fantasy quarterback. It depends on who's at the board here, but we probably will be taking Trey Lance. Trey Lance and Lazard would be a really, really nice combo. We would be pretty much screwed on week 14 and week 9, but that's okay. We're always screwed on week 9 with the way we draft. I really hope J.K. Dobbins is off this freaking board. Let's go. Get Josh Jacobs off this board, too. Dalton Schultz off the board. It's fine by me. I'm a little torn here. I mean, I'm thinking on the one hand I could go Trey Lance, but I'm also thinking on the other hand I could wait a little bit longer. I mean, because the situation here with wide receivers isn't great. Kadarius Toney's off the board. Trey Lance. Okay, so we're going to Amari Cooper here first and foremost, and then we're going to Allen Lazard if Allen Lazard's still on the board. I think that's got to be the situation here. Although we do have two wide receivers with a week 9 bye, who cares really? I mean, that sucks, I guess. But hopefully we can get Allen Lazard here. I would have really liked Trey Lance, but what can you do? He goes one pick before we do. So we're going to take hopefully Allen Lazard here, or D-Hop. I mean, D-Hop will be fine too. Either way, I can't be too mad, but I prefer Lazard. Which is weird. If somebody said that to you last year, I mean, you probably slap him across the face. There's no way you take, oh, yeah, I prefer Allen Lazard over DeAndre Hopkins. But so much changes in 1 year. I mean, it's actually crazy just how much can change in one fantasy football year. Like just a year ago, I mean, you would have never said, "Oh, I'm taking Jamar Chase fifth." Oh, I mean, Justin Jefferson, you could justify taking pretty high, but a lot of these guys, you would never justify being able to take this high. Like James Conner, if you'd said you were taking him in the 3rd round, I would slap you across the goddamn face. I mean, I would be disgusted. But that's the whim of fantasy football. Things change so quickly, and that's kind of what I love about fantasy football. Because it's like no matter it's like investing in stocks. Like no matter how much you know, it's like an imperfect sport. So like no matter how much you possibly know, you could be so right on Allen Lazard, so right on Amari Cooper, and they could just get injured or something, you know? And like it's imperfect. Nothing will ever exactly go your way. It's like it's imperfect, which makes it perfect, honestly. Like because it's imperfect, it gives you so much room for flexibility, the room to make your own opinions. Um, And then when you really hit on a player, like let's say you're really high on Alan Lazard and he pans out, there's no better feeling than that. Last year that was me with Joe Mixon. I mean, I was so huge on Joe Mixon. And guy panned out. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is those beautiful, beautiful moments in fantasy football when you're really behind a guy you really, really like, and he pans out to be a great pick, feels super, super good. And then the rivalry with your league mates too. I mean, at least in your home league. I would say here it's more so about like drafting the best team and the hope of winning a good amount of money. But still, I really like this team build. I do think having this wide receiver core is honestly pretty good. It's not bad. It's not as bad as it would be with these running backs that we took. Because you would think this core would be cheeks. This wide receiver core would be absolute cheeks, but it's really not that bad. And now we're literally not taking another running back for the entire draft, which is crazy. I hope we can get some of these guys, some of these Chase Edmonds off the board, Antonio Gibson's. It is a little unfortunate these guys are kind of climbing up the board here, just because these guys in this draft are totally, totally ignoring. Like this person took 6 wide receivers here. We're in a draft. It is later at night. It's almost 10 p.m. Sometimes at like 10 p.m. these people they they really don't like going running backs here, so it is a little bit unfortunate. We are getting sniped out here. That's just what it is. It happens. I'm probably going to end up, I hope T-Hawk here. That would be nice. I'm not trying to jinx things, but that would be really, really nice. I haven't taken T-Hawk an absolute ton where he's going right now. I think he's like a pretty slept on value here. I mean, he has a pretty good tight end at the end of the day. I mean, didn't really get that many yards last season, but he was injured. And the season before that, 720 yards. It's pretty good. So we're hoping for TJ Hawkinson here. I mean, TJ Hawkinson would be phenomenal. About an average tight end, which I'll take here. And then we need to worry about our quarterback situation. I mean, our quarterback situation is looking a little dire here. Our quarterback situation is looking pretty scary. But we kind of end up with Matt Stafford at pick 102. We'll take him at pick 98, something like that. And then, because I mean, our wide receiver situation isn't even like terrible, honestly. It's not even like awful. I hate to say it. It's not good. But it's crazy how many running backs are still on the board, and our wide receiver situation is not terrible. So we'll go T-Hawk here, and then we'll get Stafford next round. I'm imagining these running backs have to come off next round. I mean, they just have to. You can't stare at value like this forever. It just doesn't happen. That's what it was for me. I mean, I picked up this value really early because it fell to me, but now we go and we get our Matt Stafford. I mean, who would I have taken here instead of Breece Hall, though? That's what I'm wondering. Jerry Jeudy was off the board here. We're gonna go Stafford. Stafford's dealing with tendonitis. I did hear about that. I mean, I'm not gonna fade a guy with injuries. Maybe move him down a very, very tiny amount, but I'm not really gonna fade a guy. Until he's confirmed with injuries. It's like the same thing with suspensions. Like, you might move him down a few spots, but you can't totally fade guys just because there's a possibility they can get injured. It's football. People get injured. But either way, looking at this Breece Hall pick, I don't really know who I would have went because Jerry Jeudy was off the board here. I mean, I could have justified a reach on a guy like Chris Godwin, maybe. A guy like Darnell Mooney. I mean, Rashad Bateman, Brennan Cooks. Like, a lot of these guys I could have justified a reach on. Or George Kittle. I could have honestly taken George Kittle. But we did end up getting TJ Hawkinson, so it's not terrible. I mean, realistically, I would have loved Jerry Jeudy there. But, I mean, it is kind of nice. Now we just literally don't have to worry about running backs again. Which is awesome. And now these guys are coming off the board. The Chase Edmonds of the world, the Kenneth Walkers, the James Cooks. You can't predict the way a draft's going to go. You can't really predict how many wide receivers, how many running backs are going to come off the board. Just the lay of the land. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Russell Gage. Wow, okay. Interesting. Russell Gage, guy falling more and more. I think he's starting to come with value again. Because, I mean, I still would prefer him over Julio. I don't think consensus is going to be that way. I think pretty soon Julio's going to be passing Russell Gage. But at the same time, Julio Jones is 33 years old. It's very, very rare that a 33-year-old wide receiver can produce at a semi-high level. I mean, sure, you can point to AB coming in and absolutely dominating. I mean, he looked so, so good. But it's not going to be like that every time. I mean, and Antonio Brown wasn't 33. He was 31. And I know 2 years doesn't sound like a huge difference, but from 31 to 33, there is actually a very significant drop-off in production from wide receivers. I mean, it's actually very substantial. Here we like Jalen Tolbert a lot. I mean, I think Jalen Tolbert is definitely the pick, even though we have 2 Week 9 wide receiver buys. Who cares? They're buys. They don't matter that much. So we go Tolbert here, and then Aaron Rodgers is still on the board too. Wow. Any tight ends still on the board? No. So yeah, well, we might take Aaron Rodgers here and just have 2 decent quarterbacks. 2 decent enough quarterbacks, especially because we do have Lazard here too. I think it would be fine getting Stafford and Rodgers. I mean, both 2 very, very, very good regular NFL quarterbacks. I mean, 2 of the best, both in the top 10. But in terms of fantasy, a little bit further down. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't fall, I wouldn't be too surprised necessarily. But I would take Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Tolbert here. Let's see, who does this guy have? He's got Joe Burrow, so I'm a little torn. Because both of these guys are, in my opinion, after this tier breaks. I mean, Kenny Golladay, Julio Jones. Like I just said about Julio Jones. I mean, he's a nice pickup, but his ADP's skyrocketed. I don't know. He probably went to the Buccaneers like a week ago. I would really, really like this situation. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers gets sniped from us. We can't take Jalen Tolbert at least. Isaiah Spiller's still on the board. The guy's been trending upwards. Uh, he's projected actually way more points than I thought. I don't really think he's going to be too involved this year. I don't think he's going to be nearly as involved as people think. Um, I think we may go Julio Jones here. Julio Jones or Irv Smith. Honestly, let me just take a look. Maybe Christian Watson as well. I could consider here. I'm gonna wait on Dobbs. I think we're gonna go Julio, and I think I like this. I mean, if Christian Watson falls, we'll obviously take him. I don't think he will though. Uh, but then I was thinking the reason why I didn't go Irv Smith or Cole Kmet is because I am thinking Mike Gesicki's falling down the draft board so much. So like if I can get him at 130, 143 here, which is his ADP, I mean he's not really too much of a drop off from Irv Smith, if anything. I mean I pretty much look at them as like the same tier. So I mean if I can get Mike Gesicki, then I'd be more than fine with that. Mike Gesicki, please don't tell me he's got a week 6 spot. Yep, week 11. So we're chilling. And then now our only question mark is really QB2. We do need to figure out QB2 though. I guess maybe that's where I could have gone here. I mean, but even then, Justin Herbert was off the board, Lamar and Mahomes. So like, I couldn't have gone that at 47. So there's really no quarterback I could have gone. Because I mean, honestly, if I'm looking back at this draft, I'm looking back at this Breece Hall pick and saying, was this Breece Hall pick the right pick, or did I go a little bit too heavy on running backs here? I mean, that's really the question. And I think I probably did, realistically, but that's why you draft a ton. That's why you try and draft as much as possible, so that way you can figure out where you overdrafted, where you underdrafted. But I do think I was able to get really solid value at wide receiver. I mean, it actually worked out really, really well for me. I don't have a true wide receiver one. That's why I have three RB1s and an insane RB2. And TJ Hawkinson's fine. Let me know what you guys think about this team down below in the comments as well, because honestly, I'm pretty torn on saying either this is a great team or an awful team. I think now that we're getting into the backup territory where Madison's coming off the board, Henderson, Algier, all these guys, I think it is starting to look a lot better. But initially, I was a little scared of a team like this. I think it is a little bit of a weird build. I mean, it's definitely not a build you see too often. We will end up taking probably three quarterbacks here as well, just because we pretty much have to. Either three quarterbacks or I don't know. I'm a little torn here. But yeah, let me know down below in the comments what you think of this build. And be sure to include hashtag bestball so you can join the contest, or not, yeah, the contest, giveaway. And also subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy this best ball content. Definitely more to come all off season, more training camp news, everything like that. And then once we get into football, week 1 start sits, rankings, all that jazz. So you guys will be completely updated with all your fantasy knowledge. You won't have to worry. You can just come here, get all your fantasy football knowledge, and destroy your league mates. I mean, that's really the goal, just to destroy your league mates. We got Irv Smith here. Christian Watson falling all the way to pick 136. Disgusting to me. But either way. Michael Gallup, a guy we probably won't take just because it doesn't really make much sense for us to take him if we already have Jalen Tolbert. We're buying into Jalen Tolbert with this pick. But I do like taking a little bit of both of them. Honestly, it is. I honestly could consider going like a KJ Hamler. We don't have to look at running backs at all. Gesicki still on the board. We will hopefully get Gesicki here. I'm a little nervous now with Frymuth. Kenny Pickett, are you good? Oh, wow. Oh, my God. All right, so this guy's getting reported most definitely. I mean, he doesn't even have, like, Chase Claypool or anything like that. It's not even... Okay, sure. I mean, do what you got to do. Thank you for your $5, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Kenny Pickett, as of now, is the quarterback 2 on the depth chart. Steelers actually just released their depth chart today. I mean, obviously subject to change, but still is nice to know that they just released their depth chart today. We're going to take Gesicki here. Honestly, I could justify taking Tua and Gesicki and then literally just hammering wide receivers, but I mean, I don't want to do that. Tua can't run the ball. That's my ultimate concern. Maybe I could justify taking Trevor Lawrence here because he does run the ball. I mean, he looked terrible last season, but like you could definitely blame that at least a fair amount on you know who. Maybe I will go to Deshaun Watson here and then just take 3 quarterbacks. I think that's probably the way to go. Again, Deshaun Watson news coming out this Thursday, so we will find out exactly what's up with Deshaun Watson. And then there's no more ambiguity. Not to talk about him for too long. I probably talk about him like every video. We will take Deshaun Watson here, pick 146. A fine pick. And now, the only position we need is wide receiver. And another tight end. Actually, no, we don't even need another tight end. We got Gesicki here. We're fine at tight end. So just wide receiver, wide receivers, wide receivers. I'm a little worried. I would like KJ Hamler. I don't think he'll be on the board. Van Jeff, I don't think he'll be on the board. Romeo Dobbs, I don't even think he'll be on the board. Wandell. A lot of these guys I really like. I don't know if they'll be on the board, but it's a risk sometimes you got to take. Especially with all these guys taking wide receivers really, really early. We need to hope that they stop taking these wide receivers because, I mean, if you have 7 or 8, there's no point to be taking more of these wide receivers. But it's literally the only position we need for the rest of the draft, which is really nice. I mean, we could take one more quarterback if insane value does fall to us with like a Daniel Jones. I mean, actually, we can't take Daniel Jones. But one of those type of guys, we will take them. But that's really about it. We'll probably end up with like Baker Mayfield in the last round, as I like to do. Take Baker Mayfield. Or since we have TJ Hawkinson, probably we'll take Jared Goff. I think that's the best case scenario. We are 12 picks away now, so about halfway through round 13 here. It is pretty interesting to see this draft board. We do have a lot of running backs coming off the board, and Carter, Herbert, Gainwell, Jones, Paris Campbell coming off the board. I really hope we can get some Dobbs action. I wish we could have gotten Aaron Rodgers, realistically. I mean, Aaron Rodgers would have been awesome to grab, because then we could have had potentially the Lazard Rodgers stack at a discount. I mean, that's a good discount stack to have. I think that's one of the best stacks you could possibly get. Fortunately, we were sniped. I mean, we were 2 picks away. We weren't going to reach 20 picks on Aaron Rodgers. It's just not smart. But the more drafts we do, the more times that will come to us. KJ Hamler, again, a guy's shooting up boards. I think he honestly, I could justify taking him at pick 146, but I probably won't. Just Romeo Dobbs as well. Kind of stinks. Jameson Williams. All guys we wanted to take. Jameson Williams, I guess not as much so just because of the injury. We need production now at wide receiver. We need production now. I mean, we have some decent guys, but we absolutely need those boom players now. Like KJ Hamler would have been an awesome pick. Here, it doesn't happen. George Pickens, wow, just taken off the board. George Pickens, a guy who's been floating up draft charts as well. I would like a little Van Jeff action. I mean, it would be right as ADP, so I'd be fine with taking him here. But Van Jefferson, a guy who will be catching the deep bomb, and that's what matters. Might miss a couple weeks of the season, but he's a guy who can win me a week by catching an 80-yard bomb, and I'll take that. I'll take that pretty gladly. So we'll take him here. We'll take Van Jeff. And then probably a guy like Wandell. So the problem is we're only going to end up with 9 wide receivers here because we do need to probably draft a third QB. Cause Stafford and Watson, I mean, they are really strong. But I think a third QB is probably better than taking a Tyquan Thornton type player. But I would really like Wandell here. I mean, that would be awesome. Don't really care about Marvin Jones. But, I mean, I would do that. And then hopefully Donovan Peoples. It is nice, too, because we have Amari Cooper. So we will be having the Deshaun Watson Amari Cooper stack. It's an awesome stack to have if you could pull it off. If Deshaun Watson's only suspended 6 weeks, I mean, this stack instantly becomes 10 times more valuable, at least. I mean, if he's only suspended 6 games, Amari Cooper's going to be drafted at pick 50. Deshaun Watson's going to be picked at right around, probably, where Aaron Rodgers is picked. I mean, I would say you can even go above, seeing the way Trey Lance has shot up these boards. But guys like that, yeah. We got Marvin Jones coming off the board, Jamar Williams, Raheem Mostert. Disgusting pick. I don't know how the hell you could pick Raheem Mostert. If there's one guy in the league that's injury prone, I don't really believe in injury prone, but if there's one guy, I mean, his name is Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert, not a guy I recommend taking at all. I just think he's the third running back at best on a team that we don't even know how much they're going to be running the ball. It's a new coaching staff, and we don't know. I mean, even if he is the third running back, I mean, how much production is the third running back really giving you? The only running back I could possibly think of that had a lot of production as an RB3 last season was the Ernest Johnson. And I mean, that just took an absolute stroke of magic. I mean, that was ridiculous. And I guess Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins going down allowed some production out of the Ravens running back system last year. But really, that's it. I mean, outside of that, there's no RB3s that are getting any work. Maybe Elijah Mitchell you could consider the RB3 at the start of the season with Trey Sermon, but that's a really huge technicality. Daniel Jones falling all the way to 177. Wow. Okay, interesting. Now we got a lot more tight ends coming off the board, which is good for us. Oh my god, it's just running backs on running backs here. It's a little terrifying. I imagine there's pretty much no way we get Peoples Jones then. I mean, I hope. See, that's another reason why. I mean, these guys, they know better. They know not to take these late round running backs like a Gus Edwards, a Brian Robinson, Marlon Mack. Because what path does Marlon Mack have to be a good running back? I mean, it's certainly possible, but it's not plausible. It's not something where it's like, oh, okay, he's got like a 30-40% chance. I mean, I give him like a 5-10% chance that he starts in this offense day one. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I mean, likely no. I mean, even if he does start, like, are they really going to operate as a bell cow offense? Are they really going to produce a lot of fantasy points? I don't think the Texans are. Me personally, at least. They're not going to produce a lot of fantasy points. Zamir White coming off the board a little earlier. He did get a few receptions in the Hall of Fame game. It is exciting that football is finally back. I mean, it's so exciting. I can't wait. I mean, we're about a month away from the start of the season, so it does feel really, really good that we're so close to the start of the season. I think it's actually awesome. I cannot wait to watch football, as I'm sure most of you guys cannot as well. AJ Green coming off the board. Wow, okay. So we are in a pretty interesting situation. We do have a lot of talent at wide receiver. I mean, our running backs are absolutely stacked, and our quarterbacks are also pretty much stacked. I love this team. This is one of my favorite teams that I've ever drafted. To be 100% honest, this is one of my favorite teams that I've ever drafted. And we don't even have a good wide receiver. I mean, I love this team. The only thing I'm mad about is maybe taking Breece Hall over George Kittle. I could have probably taken George Kittle here. Realistically, that's the only gripe I have with this team, and it's a very, very small one. We take Donovan Peoples here, and we'll get one more running back or one more wide receiver, and then probably end the video. At 215, we're definitely taking a quarterback, whether that be Jared Goff or the latter. You know, there's so many good quarterbacks still, or quarterbacks that you could at least justify starting. So we'll take one of them. But I really hope you guys do enjoy this best ball content. Please let me know if there's anything I can improve on, any players that I'm missing in the future. And be sure to subscribe, comment, leave a like on this video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night.